All right, everybody, and welcome back to episode 2, Let Them Cook. I'm your host, Chef Juice. Welcome you back for a second time. I've got special guest, executive chef Michael Head, one of my personal favorites, best teacher, best chef, best person. Put him in all top 3 categories. One of my former commanders to teach me how to chef and how to roll, and now he's here personally with you and me. Chef Mike, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mike, before we get into it, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Just who you are, what you do, or where you come.
So first and foremost, my name is Mike. I'm the chef here at the Peterson Event Center down in the catering kitchen. We feed 90% of the athletes here on campus, talking men and women's basketball, men and women's soccer, men and women's cross country, volleyball, gymnastics, a little bit of wrestling thrown in there. And we also handle any of their events, like their award ceremonies, their donor events, and anything in between. I'm on the Pittsburgh ACF board. I'm a father. I'm a husband. Very busy man. I'm a lifer.
It's a lifer in the industry, folks. And that's a very heavy weight on you, as you do a lot. Not only Mike's being a little bit of modest, Mike is a teacher. He is an instructor. He also does his fair share in the kitchen as well, on top of being a father. So you can only imagine what the workload goes through. So with that being said, everybody getting to know you a little bit. Mike, tell us about your journey, especially with the NCAA teaching kitchen and the Peterson catering at the University of Pittsburgh. It's incredibly inspiring what you teach people and what they do, especially teaching our future athletes, our future stars, because at these points, these kids are professional athletes.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your journey and your defining moments within your life that you were just like, I want to be a chef.
Absolutely. I think growing up, some of the best times of my life I had were involved around food, whether it be birthdays, holidays, special occasions, pretty much any occasion that resulted in like somebody's mom or auntie or cousin or uncle or husband or whatever being in the kitchen for X amount of hours the day before, the day of, all the smells, all the feelings that come along with like family camaraderie. That I think drew me close to it and made me want to like look to it as a profession. Once I actually started to take that seriously and got into restaurants, I was a restaurant junkie for many years. Most people can attest to that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that things like this, what I'm doing now, it even existed, like were even a possibility.
Yeah.
So once I got the chance to come on board at Pitt, it was like a revelation. Catering is a little bit different than your day-to-day tickets coming out of the printer.
Yeah.
And then we also started doing the teaching kitchens a couple years ago, where we teach the athletes how to be people, how to feed themselves, how to be confident in the kitchen.
Being sustainable.
Right, being sustainable. Because like you have to fuel yourself, you have to heal, you have to take care of your nutrition. That's all a part of being a professional athlete, right? And a lot of kids don't get that until much later in their lives and their journey. So what we're trying to do is to instill that in them right away as soon as they come in the building. If you start early, then once they become the teachers, they become the chefs.
Yeah. Sticks with you.
Absolutely.
I love that. Especially because a lot of people, when they get out of school, they don't, what do I do? How do I adult? How do I adapt?
Some people end up doing things that have nothing to do with what they went to school for.
Yeah. And on top of it, you never know, man. It's just living in day-to-day survival scenarios. What are my best options or what I can do? And not everybody has a great family or great support system to throw them out there in the world. You're preparing our future generation of adults.
And especially our young athletes, they have a lot of pressure on them at very young ages.
Oh, you're a star.
And a lot of that doesn't include how to take care of yourself on the day-to-day.
When days by yourself or what do I do? I've always been perform. It's very noble of you, chef. So that leads into my next question. Running a kitchen and teaching aspiring chefs and athletes alike, it's no easy feat. There's no bottom line. It's not easy. Education is not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Everybody would educate somebody else. Can you share a story about one of your most challenging days that you've had, either educating or in the kitchen, and how you overcame it?
I don't really think I can pick just one. I think we are all like a product of our experiences.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who it was, when it was, like what experience level they were at, what experience level I was at. in this industry, you have those moments where either you learn or they learn, or you
Yeah.
both learn. 9 times out of 10, you both learn. So it's those moments, those situations that like I think we all live for, that they all drive us. If you're in a position to learn something or to teach somebody else something, then that brings you back. That
Yeah.
keeps you coming back the next day and the next evening. So like having a multitude of those experience and a multitude of those situations, I think has kept me in the game literally my whole career.
So I want you to picture you back in college. You're back in your dorm, right? If it's just you in your dorm, I'm not even going to throw in a dorm mate in here. If it's just you in your dorm and you had to cook a gourmet meal using only the ingredients you found in your college dorm, what are you making? What do you got for me?
It's definitely some kind of ramen. I'm a noodle head. I think the best part about ramen is the simplicity of it. As long as you have the noodles, whether they be freeze dried, whether they be fresh, frozen, fresh bought, whatever, you make them
Yeah.
yourself. That can be the vessel for whatever, like whatever
Yeah.
you have in your fridge. It could become anything. Like even if it sucks, it's still sustenance, right? Like when you're a college kid, it's all about
But it
sustenance,
sucks
right?
really good though.
Yeah,
It's,
right.
it's
Like,
not that bad.
and if it's really bad, you can just dump the seasoning packet on it. It makes it all the better. Definitely some kind of ramen, whether it's good or bad, it's some kind of ramen.
I love a good ramen. To keep it as like me and you had a conversation a couple weeks ago, it led into a series of things. Mike's a father. I'm an uncle. We have a lot of people looking at us in a different light. Representation in the culinary world. Now, this is a little bit of a harder one. It could be a harder subject or a softer subject for certain types of people. Representation in our culinary world, crucial. As a Black chef leading a very prestigious program, how do you see your role inspiring the next generation of chefs and kids that are coming along?
That's a good question. Honestly, I look at it as I put myself in the position of the people that I'm in control of, right? When I was in their position, I didn't really have anybody that was in that role for me. I didn't have anybody to really I had people to look up to, but it wasn't necessarily a representation of myself.
Yeah.
So growing up in the kitchen as a professional in that environment, I always strove to be that person for others. Because when you step into any role of leadership or management, what have you, you always want to have that thing like that separates you from everybody else. And you want it to be like transparent from all sides. So
Yeah.
that was my take on it. Like I wanted to represent myself through others, but also let that whole situation be a lesson to people outside of what we're even talking about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just really giving back in any way that I can.
It's very fair and understandable. We had this conversation a couple weeks ago. Mike's a father. I'm an uncle. What it means for our kids to see somebody up and relate and look to say that I can do this. Especially like even not as much as our kids, but also people in our field.
Right.
You never know what challenges you run into, especially because the world's so vast and the world's so big and the world's so competitive.
And it's changing.
And it's changing constantly. What it means to be the face of change and, what you're doing.
Right. I always say to people that I don't wish my lifestyle or my career on my kids, but at the same time, like they're right there when I'm doing all this. And,
they're
they're
seeing,
gonna either gonna be with it or they're not. That's not my decision. But
they're seeing you succeed too. They see you succeed and they see you able to establish a life for not only you, but for them. Right?
they at least have that. Like they have that aspect to be connected to what I'm doing.
Especially because some aspects of people you would never think of a chef as the hero. You know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, they're chef. But to look at chef as the hero is just, it's the mountaintop to the story.
Right. It's kept us in it for this long, right?
With those words being said, which are very insightful, by the way, balancing multiple roles. Challenge. If anybody knows it's a challenge, it's you do, because you've been doing it for years. It could be quite the challenge, but now you have new challenges in your life. You're older, you're better, you're stronger, you're wiser, but now you're a father. Now you're a mentor. Now you're a teacher. Those things have come to you at quite the time. Like your basket's pretty full. How do you balance multiple roles?
I feel like each new role was inspired by the previous. Um, I've been in this industry for over 20 years. Anybody that's in this industry can relate. We have a hard life. We have a hard
Yeah.
job. So at the end of
It's
the
not
day,
an easy one. If it was easy,
right,
everybody would.
your coworkers more than you are your family.
Yeah.
Just those bonds that you create over the years, like day in and day out, they become like your second family. Balancing the two, like it's easier to put it in that perspective where like you have your at home family and you have your work family. And that was great practice for becoming a father because instead of my long nights being in the kitchen, like at the prep table, like thinking about like how I'm going to navigate the next day, I'm at home folding clothes.
Mm.
I'm at home thinking about what they're going to eat for lunch the next couple of days. So that keeps me up at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like it was the perfect practice and the perfect training for being a father.
Yeah.
They're like one and the same, except you have many children, and then these children you live.
Yeah. These are your actual children.
Right. You're still wiping butts.
You got to take care of one. You got to take care of them all.
Absolutely.
I heard you got a background in athletics. As we know, most of these people that work in the service industry do have multiple backgrounds, wear many hats, do many facets. I played some sports. You played some sports. Now everything is coming full circle here for you taking care of everybody here as well. So with that being said, do you have any memorable stories from your athletic days? And, what in sports stuck with you that kind of took everything through to this next level in your career?
That's a great question. Again, I feel like I'm like a conglomerate of like my experiences. But if it's one thing that I could take from my athletic career, which I was okay, but I wasn't like, I wasn't D1 special, but you never like lose the mindset because in athletics and in life, 9 times out of 10, you're a part of a team, right?
Yeah.
So you have to like not only see yourself in the situation, but you have to see others. And then you have to all grow together. You never lose the mindset of this is a team sport. Like what I do matters, how I feel matters, how I think matters. And my progress is the person next to me's progress, right?
Yeah.
So you take that with you professionally too. Like I think that's the whole point of sports, right? To give you that mindset to implement into real life.
Yeah.
So I think cooking is like a sport as
Yeah.
well. Like
Oh, it's definitely
especially stove work.
the
Like
hand-eye coordination you
that
need to
ticket
actually
comes out of the
cook.
printer and you're like, you're off. Like, and not
All
only are you
reflexes.
off, but you're communicating with the person next to you. And the person over here is saying, like, all right, this is what we're doing next. I know you're already doing this and this needs to come for this time, but this is coming in now. So keep this in your mind. And right behind that, something else coming in. So I think it's a mindset thing. Like athletics is very similar to the restaurant industry and what we do in food.
Yeah.
Because people want to eat.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I do.
Especially athletes. Like,
Especially athletes. Especially athletes. When it comes to those journeys of chefs and people that we talk about, you definitely come full circle. I don't think there's one instance where Mike's ship hasn't made a weight that you could break. But you've come a long way and you've taught people not only how to sustain themselves, but how to be a father, how to keep people going, and how to get them prepared for the next round. Mike, it was an honor to sit with you, get to talk to you, get to know you, and get to spend time with everybody else and shed light on who you are. With that being said, Mike, is there any words that you want to leave with us?
Sure. If there's anything that like you want to do as a person, personally, you just really have to do it. That's gotta be what you're focused on. In one of my recent classes, I was trying to teach the team how to flip an over easy egg. And I told them they had to commit to the flip. So in anything that you want to do, and like you got to commit to it first. You can commit to the flip, you'll be all right. Commit to the flip.
Commit to the flip. Hey, I want a t-shirt. Commit to the flip. You've heard it here first. Episode 2, Let Them Cook. Chef Michael Head, executive chef here at PittEats Catering and the NCAA at the University of Pittsburgh training table. I'd like to thank you, Chef Mike. I'd like to thank you for coming on and teaching everybody anything. We'll see you next time.